Thank you so much for staying with us. The Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry has warned that the renewed enforcement of the ban on alcoholic beverages, shots in sachets and small bottles, could put over 5 million direct and indirect jobs at risk, alongside about 800 billion naira in investments. The chamber described the action by the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, as economically disruptive and potentially damaging to investor confidence, particularly at the time when Nigeria needs regulatory stability to support growth and job creation. While reaffirming support for public health objectives, including the protection of minors and promotion of responsible alcohol consumption, the chamber expressed concerns over the abrupt manner of enforcement. It notes that the renewed action contradicts existing government directives and legislative resolutions, including the December 15, 2025 directive by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, suspending the ban, as well as the March 14, 2024 House of Representatives resolution, calling for restraint and wider stakeholder consultation. Chamber warns that such sudden policy reversals raise serious concerns about regulatory inconsistency and could undermine investor confidence. To discuss this and regulatory implications, my guest is a renowned economist. He is the Vice President at the Abuja Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Chijoke Ekechukwu. Thank you so much, Dr. Ekechukwu. It's good to have you on the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tulu. Nice being here with you.
Yes, I'm worried because I've had this conversation on Monday, even with the DG of NECA, talking about this position of the ACCI, Agent Man, LCCI. Everyone is on the same line. But let me ask you what you think about moves like this one, you know, banning and, you know, causing a bit of friction or fear in the business community. Tell us what you are learning about this.
So, in my view, of course, my view is not different from the view of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. But in my view, banning sachet alcoholic drinks is not a solution, because you have to look at the impact of this in business, of the people who are genuinely doing this, because there are a lot of people who are in genuine business producing these things. It's like saying because children have access to social media, you have to remove all social media from the system. You know, so there is, of course, we should also know that all over the world, there are very smaller units of alcoholic beverages, whiskeys and brandies and gins, very smaller units all over the world. And so those countries didn't say, let us ban these small units just because children will have access to them and put them in their pockets. I think the solution should come from the fact that the enforcement agencies should be able to do their work. NAFDAC on their own should be able to regulate the production of these, because if you say there shouldn't be that size produced, don't forget that 3 children or 4 children can even come together and buy the bigger bottle and share it amongst themselves. So that's not a solution, because you know, these particular sizes of products are coming from a particular from some particular production line, and maybe the machines have been acquired already, and all the things necessary to produce these things have been done. So, and of course, you should also know that alcoholic beverages of that size are not the only dangers that exist within the limit, within the environment of children. We have all kinds of drugs that are there, and so they are not having access to these ones just because they are small. These children also have alcoholic drinks and beverages in their homes, and they can access them every other place. So what we need to do is just to ensure that we limit who we sell to, especially all the people selling and all the sellers and all the people producing should also limit who they sell to. And of course, parents should be able to monitor what their children drink and have. Teachers of schools and school administrators should also know what the children are coming to school with. The same way we stop them from having phones into schools, the same way we can make sure that they are not having any substance in their bags when they're in school. So we need to take measures instead of saying we are banning, because banning will actually undermine growth, because there are genuine companies that are producing all these things, and it's going to actually inhibit the volume of business they're going to do and actually affect their output.
For me, I think that this is something that the likes of the organized private sector, of course, which you belong to, should meet with NAFDAC and other agencies. So I asked the question, that what really is the communication networking, or what that's between, channel between both parties? What's been happening? Because we hear from you, the likes of that, you say, our government listens, we meet and all of that. So I'm thinking that this will be a time where members of the organized private sector should meet with NAFDAC and, sit around the table and get this trashed out. Not all of this back and forth. Implementation is starting. We are locking up shops. We are doing this, sending the wrong signal, even for investors.
I'm sure you also know that NAFDAC listens every day. I'll have to continue to say that. Many times you see that, yes, that is a necessary channel to follow to have such discussions with NAFDAC. But of course, NAFDAC has a lot of work in their hands. If you go to various drug shops today, you see a whole lot of fake drugs all over the place. The NAFDAC, has a lot of responsibility to ensure that all those fake drugs are out of the shops of various pharmacy shops and the like. But as they listen to this, just like when we speak, the entire country listens, the president listens, and the executive listens, National Assembly people listen. So that's some way we expect that NAFDAC should look at this and have a rethink of the total ban they want to give to this line of products. First of all, regulate them and ensure that the ones that are in the market are the ones that are licensed to be in the market and are passing through NAFDAC regulations. So if that is done, the issues of whether these things go into the hands of children or into the hands of drivers, as the case may be, may not be the issue. It should, because there are a lot of other things that children have access to. That was why I gave an example with social media, that how all the social media that have gone into every nook and cranny of the world. Are we going to say ban social media? So we have to look at other ways of regulating these things and ensure that we enforce to make sure these products don't get into the hands of children. And even if they do, we should be able to find them out. Now that it's listening, they should be able to look at this again.
Now, what is of more concern is the fact that this is happening at a time where the economy is just bouncing back, like we'll say, recovery from the reforms and all of that. So take us through the state of the business community, following inflation wrapping up at 15%, I think, for the end of 2025. Projections that 2026 is going to be a better year. Some say we should expect a boom. Some say we should expect a revamped economy and all of that. Some say we should expect growth as much as over 4%. I don't know what you think, but I'd like to hear from you.
So look, we are impressed at the various macroeconomic indicators that show how well an economy is growing or is doing. When we take them one after the other day, of course, we heard our foreign reserves have gone to a particular position, highest in the last few years, and that's a major indicator that our FS rate can be stabilized and even improved upon. We're also seeing in the official market, of course, I call it official market because the rate being mentioned when you go to buy this rate thing from the Bureau de Change, we're still not getting that rate of 1,300 and something that was mentioned. So these are indicators that the FS rate can actually be regularized and stabilized. When we also look at inflation rate, which is going down, we can see the major drivers of inflation rate are actually there. The petroleum product prices are coming down, and the FS rate is stabilized and also coming down. Food inflation, we have seen, is also dropping, which was actually the main driver of inflation rates in the past. Of course, we also know that the MPR, which has driven the interest rate, that the banks are using to give out their loans, MPR is also dropping. So when we look at all this, we also see that transportation costs is dropping gradually, apart from the ones that rose during the Christmas period. We will see that there are positive signs, positive developments in all the various indicators of the macroeconomy. So it's a very good sign, and we expect that. And of course, anybody who says that the economy is going to be growing at the rate of 4% was not mistaken, because if we do all that we're supposed to do and continue and we sustain them, we expect that the economy will actually rise up to 4% this particular year and beyond.
That's a good one. I asked Prof earlier when we had our conversation, saying what he thinks about the forthcoming monetary policy meeting, because for me, I'm concerned about a possible reduction in rates, and I think that is something that should happen. Many have talked about it. Manufacturers are groaning. They are complaining about the hike in interest rates and, how they could get more funds. And we need to expand this economy productively. And if you're going to do that, there should be funding. So what do you think what do you think will form conversations around that table when these guys meet in about 2 weeks, let's say? What do you think they will be talking about, and what are the projected outcome in your thoughts? Dr. Kechuku, can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Kechuku, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It stopped at the time, but I can hear you now.
Okay, I was talking about the coming. Yes, I can. The MPC meeting that would happen in about 2 weeks. What are your expectations?
When you look at all the influences, all the things that influence the placement of the MPR and other monetary policy rates, inflation rate, which is a major consideration, the MPR and other rates, you see that inflation rate is just gradually decelerating. So if this is so, I also expect that the MPR and other rates should be able to come down. The reason for this is that we need to actually ensure that manufacturing sector grows. And the only way, the major way the manufacturing sector will grow is if manufacturers have access to funds at very cheap rates. And there's no way rates can be cheap if interest rates are high, because interest rates will remain high if MPR remains high. So it should be a deliberate action for the CBN to be able to reduce all the monetary policy rates so that manufacturers and other businesses can have access to funds. Again, I also expect that with the consolidation and the recapitalization of banks, the banks are now awash with funds, and their rates should not be as high as they used to be. So we expect that the MPR should reduce. But at what rate, we don't know. But I know that marginally, we expect such reduction in MPR and other rates.
That's a good. Any concerns about the election? Forthcoming elections?
Usually, we know the election of Nigeria. We know how it is, and there are concerns. Concerns because there will be a whole lot of money in circulation. But even when we have that money in circulation, what it means is that it may affect some inflation rate a little. But it's also going to bring in more money into the market system. And when that happens, it's going to stimulate the system. And when it stimulates the system, printers are going to be having more jobs. Other businesses are going to be having more jobs. Car, vehicle, and automobile sellers are going to be having more businesses and ancillary services like that. So we're going to be having stimulation of the economy during the political era. But of course, we also know the kind of instability it creates. But we don't expect that it's going to lead to that, which will affect the growth of the economy for this season.
It's a good one. Now, before I let you go, I just stumbled on this now, of course, on social media. And of course, it's real. We know that the MD of the World Bank met with President Tinubu yesterday. And now she's saying, the World Bank MD says President Tinubu's reforms now global reference point. So it seems to me like many international bodies, ratings agencies and all, they're really throwing their weight behind this and commending President Bola Tinubu. I think that's why he's saying that there is no going back with regards to this. What do you think?
The reforms have brought in positive energy to the economic system. So now we need to grow our economy to the point where the growth of the economy will surpass the population growth. And then, of course, that is when you start seeing the impact on reduction of poverty in the system. So as far as these reforms are bringing money into the coffers of the government, we need to also ensure that the individuals, the people, the populace, and Nigerians in general are also feeling the impact of the growth of the economy. Until that impact is felt inside their pockets, they will not think the reforms are working for them. So the more we sustain the reforms and the economy continues to grow, gradually the people will feel the impact in their various accounts and their various pockets. That's what I think.
Well, I think it's a good way for us to rest it today. I must thank you so much, as always, for your time on the program. Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu is a renowned economist. He's also the Vice President of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much, Doc. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Tolu. Thank you.